Sent to you local and international newspaper headlines for the day with in-depth analysis from seasoned professionals. Start your day the right way on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info.
You're welcome to the show. It's 99.3 Nigeria Info. It's the 1st of November. Happy New Month to you anywhere you are in the world. Wishing you the best this new month. And from now till 8 o'clock, it's time to look at the stories across the papers today. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. You can watch us there and also leave us your comments on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. WhatsApp is also there with 095975805. I'm Wemimo Adewuni. You're welcome to the show.
I'm Sheriff Quadry. We got the Punch here. The Vanguard is also here, as well as the Daily Sun newspaper.
On this side, I have the Guardian, the Daily Independent, the Nation, as well as the Daily Trust newspapers. We'll start with this. We're doing this with you again today. Rotimi Sankore will be back next week to join us on the show. So let's do this with you. Any of these stories that interest you, you can leave us your comment on all of those platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, WhatsApp, 08095975805. We're bringing this conversation to you next week, Monday, because it's still dominating headlines. Reps split over Army's Operation Positive Identification. Why we planned it. This is coming from Burutai. Falano asks court to stop plan. Military begins Atilogu Udo exercise in Southeast. You find this headline from the Guardian newspaper. Daily Independence. Why we're holding military operations nationwide, according to Burutai on the front page of the Daily Independent. The nationwide operation Show Your ID must go on by military. It's intelligence-led to identify fleeing Boko Haram suspects. Plan is open to abuses, says Reps. You find that from The Nation. It also makes it to the Daily Trust. Army begins Operation Identification nationwide today. Today? Did I hear today?
Yeah, actually. November 1. Yeah, it started November 1. From the Vanguard newspaper, uproar as Army insists on Operation Identify Yourself. Riders, why all Nigerians must identify themselves through OPI. That's the Army explaining. We are finally in a dictatorship, Afenifere. It's to intimidate Nigerians, MBF. Not Army's job, says Junaid Mohammed. It's ill-conceived, can. We will mobilize against it. Vals Pandev says it's unnecessary. Let's take a look at that story from Vanguard newspaper this morning. Various groups and notable persons yesterday rose against bid by the Nigerian Army to get all citizens identify themselves in a planned exercise tagged Operation Positive Identification, OPI, just as the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, yesterday told the House of Representatives that the Army is insistent on the exercise, and it was targeted at members of the terrorist group Boko Haram. Besides, he stressed that the operation was in line with the Army's constitutional mandate and that it would curtail operations of the menacing terrorist group. The Army chief's statement came days after the Army had denied it had any such plan.
Well, it wasn't actually an obvious denial because, like I mentioned sometime yesterday, usually the Army would put out a press statement on issues. What they did was to put up the photo that was going around about some organizations seemed to give some advice about what to do in such circumstances, and then they wrote fake across it. We've reached out to the Army spokesperson against Monday morning, so you should join us for this conversation. Operation Identification begins.
Positive
Identification begins today. Well, you should let us know how that goes. We'd like to know on all of our social media handles on Twitter, especially. You can tweet at us and tell us if you were accosted.
And that's at Nigeria Info FM on Twitter. So I saw the Army personnel defending this move by the Army on TV. He was in front of the House of Reps. You know, House of Reps says they will intervene and try and seek clarification from the Army. And he said that this operation will be held simultaneously with the already ongoing major operations in the country. So it's not like you will see them on the street and saying, show your ID. No. They already have some operations going on in some parts of the country. So the operation positive identification will now be embedded into that those operations that are ongoing. In the South, in the Southeast, we have Operation Apakatuma or something too. So OPI will now be inside that operation. In the South, another operation is ongoing there. Not Crocodile Smile.
There's a new one they just started today also. But what they've said here is nationwide. So that's the question. And according to the Chief of Army Staff in this report by the Daily Trust, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai said he told lawmakers that Buhari and the Minister of Defense, Bashir Magashi, were in support of the operation. He said it was first launched in the Northeast in September and would be conducted nationwide to intercept Boko Haram insurgents who had relocated from their enclaves to other parts of the country. He was represented at that meeting with the lawmakers by the head of Civil Military Affairs, Army Headquarters, Major General U.S. Usman, and noted that the exercise would not involve movement of troops or their presence in communities. Yeah, that's what Sheriff just explained. Rather, it is a special operation fused into ongoing operations. But what do you think about this headline? Reach us on WhatsApp 08095975805. Let me read this one. Remember to put your names. I can't read your messages if there's no name, please. You can send your messages again. Let's move it up.
Let's move it up right now. See, before we move it up, a lot of people are talking about this.
That's why I'm bringing it on Monday.
It's a huge debate.
It is.
You should join us on Monday. It's going to be an interesting conversation to have, especially on the morning Crossfire. Let's look at this other headline this morning. Similar headline, as a matter of fact, from the front page of Daily Sun. It's a banner. Fears over bandits spread. FG raises the alarm over gangs movement from Zamfara, Katsina to other states. Boko Haram scare in Ondo. That's coming from Daily Sun newspaper. It goes, fears over bandits spread. FG raises the alarm over gangs movement from Zamfara, Katsina to other states. Another writer, Boko Haram scare in Ondo. Let's look at that story now. The federal government has raised the alarm over the movement of unrepentant bandits from Zamfara and Katsina states to neighboring states and beyond. Permanent Secretary, Special Services Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Dr. Amina Shamaki, who made a disclosure at the Federal and the State Security Administrators meeting in Jalingo, Taraba State, said it was an identification that the bandits were making effort to spread the menace to other areas. She said that some states in the north, central, and southwest zones have started experiencing upsurge in kidnap incidents perpetrated by the dislodged bandits. She mentioned southwest.
Well, another story here, you can find this from the Daily Independence. Ganduje considers death penalty for kidnappers in Kano as state shuts down child torture center, rescues 36 inmates. Ganduje considers death penalty for kidnappers in Kano. A related story, hunters kill, arrest kidnappers in Taraba, Kano. Kano okays capital punishment for abductors. Again, that headline from The Guardian. Hunters kill, arrest kidnappers in Taraba. Kano okays capital punishment for abductors. You can check these headlines out on the papers today. And ASU is still here. ASU is still here with the IPPIS debate from the Daily Trust. IPPIS, ASU shelves strike. This is from the Daily Trust. It's the banner on The Guardian. Government stops salaries of ASU, others over IPPIS. The month is over. The deadline was yesterday.
Right.
Union suspends planned strike, proposes alternative payment system. What would that be? Daily Independent.
I'm guessing not IPPIS.
They don't want IPPIS. Daily Independent, IPPIS, ASU suspends proposed strike. You can also find it in other papers. I'm trying to see what the proposed system is. Yeah, it is. Is the government going to create another one for them?
The most important thing is they should avoid going on strike.
Oh, now the strike is off the table. Well, the Guardian newspaper has this story. Let me just try to move it off straight up to... okay, so the story starts on The Guardian. It says the federal government yesterday made good its threat to stop the salaries of all workers, especially members of ASU who have not been featured on the integrated payroll and personnel information system. President Buhari had said while presenting the 2020 budget proposal to the National Assembly, I quote him, "I have directed the stoppage of the salary of any federal government staff that is not captured on IPPIS by the end of October." If you move it over to page 6, just trying to summarize this. ASU meanwhile suspended its planned strike yesterday, with its president, Biodun Oyeyemi, disclosing that the union had come up with an alternative pay system for its members. According to him, the proposal would be university-based and could be monitored by governing councils. Contrary to claims that the union is against IPPIS because it wants to perpetuate corruption, Oyeyemi said, I quote him, "It is easier to control corruption at the lower level than at the center. Given the mechanism we have in place, the laws governing the universities have said where the governing council is not performing, dissolve it and set up another one. Government is shying away from doing that because they are politicizing appointment into the councils and would not want to offend their friends." So there's throwing some mud on the governing council there.
Indeed. Let's move on to other papers this morning and look at other stories. 15 rescued, pastor arrested at Lagos Torture Center. It's on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. Let's go take a look at that particular story. That story is actually everywhere in the papers this morning, as a matter of fact. Let's have a look at what they're saying here. I can see pictures of the people that were rescued in chains right here. On the Punch newspaper, a pastor, Joseph Ojo, has been arrested for allegedly using his church, the Blessing of Goodness Healing Church, Ijegun area of Lagos, as a detention center for mentally ill persons and persons suffering from various ailments and social vices. The Punch gathered that Ojo was arrested after 15 sick persons who were chained inside a building on his church premises were rescued by men of the Lagos State Police Command, led by the Divisional Police Officer Isheri Oshun Division, stormed the church on Wednesday following a tip-off by the National President of the IGU Crime Awareness and Prevention Initiative, a non-government organization, Samuel Adam. When Punch visited the church on Thursday, 4 victims, some of whom were speaking incoherently, were seen chained to the ground.
Well, according to the reports, the pastor said they were chained so that they wouldn't run away while they were treating them, maybe praying for them or whatever. But now the police is involved. They have to answer a lot of questions. The Guardian newspaper has another story. Residents flee as another petrol tanker falls in Onitsha. What's going on? What's going on? Why do we keep having tankers falling in Onitsha?
It's disturbing, actually.
It is. I mean, this will be like the 4th or thereabout in some weeks. This is pretty alarming. You can find this from the Guardian newspaper and read more. We have comments coming in. Let's read some from WhatsApp. Remember that your name must be in your message, otherwise I would not be able to read it. Raphael Adegoke says, good morning, beautiful people. I thought the army said it was fake some days ago. Fake news. I totally disdain the acts of the Nigerian army. This exercise is absolutely the duty of the police. Are we fighting a war here? Definitely they cannot carry out this task without the approval of the president. Well, General Burutai said the president, they have the backing of the president on this, according to the newspaper report. Good morning, guys. My name is Prince Oladele. It's a very good idea. Nigeria is too free. Really now? It says it was born in Cameroon. You can't go anywhere in Cameroon without your ID. The army should go ahead. However, that's the job of the police, don't you think? Let's see this comment. Why can't the police be trained properly to handle this? How would the army, who is trained in the art of war, do civil activities? It's coming from Pastor Ladipo Ayemo from Orile Gomu. Thank you. Patrick says, good morning, 99.3. Nigeria army are about to make a big mistake. Believe me, identification error will be used to victimize people. Nicholas Temitokba here says, the military should know that more than half of Nigeria's populace don't have any means of identification. How are they going to identify and separate criminal elements from law-abiding citizens? It's not going to work because the criminals would also devise means of beating the operation. Let me leave WhatsApp and head quickly to Facebook. Oh, goodness. How many can I read? Lucas says, is Rotimi fine? Yes, he is fine. He's away on official duty. He'll be back next week, Monday. Okay, good morning to you all. Alex, WhatsApp number is 08095975805. Bola Akibami says, if the military conducts OPI responsibly, who is afraid of identification, given our quest for an open society? He says, Sheriff is spot on the OPI. Hope the military is looking for is looking for a PRO. I'm looking at one now, Sheriff. He was just analyzing the story in the paper. Raphael Adegoke said, okay, I've read a comment from WhatsApp. Bolao says he's missing Rotimi Sankore. He would have suggested that Zamfara issue is not military but social inclusion and plus emancipation. He'll be back on Monday. Holy Moses on Facebook says the joint task force are all over Abba in Abia now, and it is not the OPI as it was mentioned, and there is no war in Abia. So okay, I don't understand your message. Alex Agbo says, how do you throw soldiers into the society, harassing people when there is no war? We are expecting foreign investors who, upon getting to the airport and finding people being harassed here and there, would turn back and never come back. Nobody thinks through before we jump to spring this upon the people. Kevin Okuna says, my dear country has obviously been militarized. Balawo says, kudos to ASU for suspending the strike but putting the cart before the horse. They should have suggested alternative IPPIS before your message is gone, before, instead of threatening strikes. Okay, indeed. Let's pause for a while, okay?
That's right. Let's move on to other stories this morning. We pick up the Vanguard newspaper. FG explores Jollof Bonds Plan Vision 2040.
That Jollof thing always gets me. Early in the morning, and somebody just keeps talking Jollof all over the place.
Buhari saw Lieutenant Mon Johnson, ex-Lagos governor. Anybody free to dream about 2023, says APC governors. CAC records 300,000 new business registration for SMEs. Customs under attack over national valuation database for imported cars. Let's look at that particular story. Here, the Nigeria Customs Service (NCS) has come under serious attacks over the implementation of the national valuation database for imported motor vehicles. The policy means that the NCS, as a customs, revoked the freight onboard FOB value lists for imported vehicles supplied by the manufacturers and replaced it with the NVDIMV. The FOB is the universal cost to every buyer of goods from the same manufacturer, which is calculated for the sake of local duties in the destination country. Its universal nature does not allow it to vary unless only on accessories in the vehicles. It means that the cost of freight is usually determined by charges from the country of origin of the product to its destination, and not the other way round. So now the customs wants to change that. They want to be able to charge if you are bringing in a commodity through the cost of freight.
Another one, looking at the upcoming elections in Kogi and Bayelsa states, INEC will transmit results manually, says Yakubu here in the Daily Independent. CSOs ask Army to stay away from elections. Reports from our correspondent in Abuja reports that there will be about 25,000 policemen deployed for those elections and about 10,000 personnel of the NSCDC. We will be here giving you live coverage of the Kogi and Bayelsa elections, as we always do, throughout the day. Saturday and Sunday, our correspondents will be in Kogi and Bayelsa. We'll bring you live audio and visuals from that election. So make sure to tune to Nigeria Info when the time is here. Another story here. I am ready to face trial if my safety is guaranteed. That's coming from Nnamdi Kanu on the front page of the Daily Independent. I'm ready to face trial if my safety is guaranteed, Nnamdi Kanu says from the Daily Independent.
Talking about that particular story, it's also here on the front page of the Daily Sun newspaper. Nnamdi Kanu should be in jail. That's according to a judge. She overreacted into society, an NGO responding to it there.
Guys, your comments are all over, but we must go now. Bills to pay. We'll be back just after this ad to talk about press freedom. Tomorrow is the International Day to End Impunity against journalists. We'll be talking about freedom of expression and, of course, journalism in Nigeria. Join us for that just in a moment. We're live on all of our social media handles, and we'll be back shortly. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
And I'm Sheriff Quadry.
Join us again.